I sat behind my mahogany desk, watching through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my penthouse office as my brother paced in the reception area. He looked different now, his designer suit wrinkled, his usually perfect hair disheveled. The mighty Marcus Bennett, reduced to begging for help from his failure of a sister. "Miss Bennett." My assistant Claire's voice came through the intercom. "Your brother is here for your 2 p.m. I took a moment to straighten the papers on my desk, enjoying his discomfort. Give him 5 more minutes. 2 years ago, I had stood in the Bennett family kitchen, listening to Marcus and my father laugh at my plans to open an electronics repair shop. A repair shop? Marcus had sneered, adjusting his Rolex. "While we're running a multi-million-dollar tech manufacturing company." "Oh, that's precious, Olivia." My father hadn't even looked up from his newspaper. "At least she's finally doing something, even if it's beneath our standards." I hadn't told them about the real business I was building, Novatech Solutions, a company that was revolutionizing the electronics repair and recycling industry through innovative software and automation. The little shop was just a front, a testing ground for my technology. But they wouldn't have understood. In their world, success only looked one way, like Bennett Electronics, the family company they'd inherited and were slowly running into the ground through mismanagement and outdated practices. "You could have had an executive position at Bennett Electronics," my father had reminded me for the 100th time. "Instead, you're going to waste your MIT degree fixing phones?" I'd looked around at their pristine kitchen, bought with old money and maintained by slowly diminishing profits. Maybe I want to build something of my own. Marcus had nearly choked on his imported coffee. "Build something? Little sister, you can barely build a PowerPoint presentation." If only they knew that I'd already secured patents for 3 groundbreaking repair automation systems. That venture capitalists were fighting to invest in my company. That while they were coasting on Bennett Electronics' reputation, I was quietly revolutionizing the industry. "Have fun with your little shop," Marcus had called after me as I left. "When it fails, there's always a secretary position open at Bennett Electronics." Now 2 years later, Marcus was the one facing failure. Bennett Electronics was hemorrhaging money, their stock price plummeting as competitors adopted newer, more efficient technologies, my technologies, though they didn't know that yet. I'd watched their decline through shell companies and dummy corporations, buying up their debt, acquiring their suppliers, and waiting for the perfect moment to reveal myself as the power behind their downfall. "Miss Bennett." Claire's voice interrupted my thoughts. "It's been 5 minutes." I straightened my Armani blazer, worth more than Marcus's first car, and pressed the intercom. "Send him in." Marcus burst through the door, his facade of corporate confidence cracking. "Olivia, thank God. I know we've had our differences, but I need dash." He stopped short, taking in my office for the first time. This isn't your repair shop." I gestured to the chair across from my desk. "No, it's not. Please sit." He sank into the leather chair, looking lost. "I don't understand. Your shop. Everyone said you were just running a small repair business." "I do own a repair shop," I said calmly. "I also own Novatech Solutions. Perhaps you've heard of us? We're the company that's been buying up all of Bennett Electronics' debt." The color drained from his face. "Novatech? But they're worth billions. They're the ones who developed the automated repair systems that are putting us out of business." I opened my laptop, turning it to face him. On the screen was Bennett Electronics' financial report, the real one, not the optimistic version they showed shareholders. "Your company is 3 months from bankruptcy, Marcus. Your technology is obsolete, your management structure is chaos, and your major investors are jumping ship." "How do you know all this?" "Because I've been watching you fail for 2 years." I pulled up another document, a list of shell companies and subsidiaries that led back to Novatech. "While you were laughing at my little shop, I was building an empire. One that's about to buy what's left of yours." Marcus leaned forward, his eyes wild. "That's why I'm here. We need an investor, a partner. Someone to help us modernize dash." "You need a savior," I corrected him. "And you came to your little sister, thinking she still ran a repair shop, hoping she might have some industry contacts who could help." He slumped in his chair. "Dad doesn't know I'm here. He still thinks we can save it ourselves. His pride. His pride is what got you into this mess. His pride and your arrogance." I stood up, walking to the window. 40 stories below, I could just make out the sign of my original repair shop. The one they'd mocked so publicly. Do you know why that shop succeeded, Marcus? Because I wasn't afraid to start small, to learn the business from the ground up. While you were playing golf with Dad's business associates, I was developing technologies that would change the industry. Olivia, please. His voice cracked. The company, it's all we have. Dad will never recover if we lose it. I turned back to face him, remembering every dismissive comment, every condescending smile, every time they'd made me feel small for daring to dream differently. Actually, I said, pulling up one final document on my laptop, it's not all you have. You have one last chance to save something from this mess. Would you like to see how? Marcus stared at the document on my screen, his hands shaking slightly as he read through the terms. This is a takeover agreement. Merger technically, I corrected him. Though given Bennett Electronics' current market value, it's more like a rescue operation. You want to buy our company? His voice cracked. Our family's legacy? I leaned back in my chair studying him. Your family's legacy is already gone, Marcus. You and Dad saw to that when you refused to innovate, to adapt. This agreement is the only thing standing between you and complete bankruptcy. Claire appeared at the door with a stack of papers. Right on cue as always. The full contracts, Ms. Bennett. Thank you, Claire. I took the documents and spread them across my desk. The terms are simple. Novatech acquires Bennett Electronics at current market value, which I should mention, is about 1/10 what it was worth 2 years ago. We'll absorb the debt, restructure the company, and implement our technology across all operations. Marcus picked up the first page, his eyes widening at the numbers. This is nothing. The company's worth more than this. Is it? I pulled up Bennett Electronics' real-time stock price. Your shares have dropped 80% in the last year. You've lost your 3 biggest clients to competitors, to me actually, though you didn't know that. You're facing multiple lawsuits from investors over mismanaged funds. I paused, letting it sink in. Face it, Marcus. I'm offering you a lifeline. He slumped in his chair. What about Dad? What about our positions in the company? Dad will be offered a role as chairman emeritus, a ceremonial position with no actual power. You'll be demoted to regional sales director. I smiled slightly. Consider yourself lucky. Most of the current management team will be let go. Regional sales director? His face flushed with anger. I'm the CEO. You're the CEO of a failing company that you ran into the ground. The only reason you're being offered any position at all is because, despite everything, you're still my brother. The fight seemed to drain out of him. And if we refuse? I shrugged, closing my laptop. Then I call in Bennett Electronics debt, all of it. The company goes bankrupt, the shareholders sue, and the Bennett name becomes synonymous with corporate failure. Your choice. I need to talk to Dad, he said weakly. Of course. I pressed the intercom. Claire, please show Mr. Bennett out. And send in the board members from Novatech. We have other matters to discuss. As Marcus stood to leave, looking shell-shocked, I added, Oh, and brother? Tell Dad I've renovated my little shop into quite a nice corporate museum. He might want to visit sometime, see how the industry evolved while he wasn't paying attention. After he left, I watched through my office windows as a group of sleek executives filed into the building, Novatech's board members, arriving for our strategic planning meeting. How different from the day 2 years ago when I'd first opened my repair shop. I remembered standing in that small storefront, listening to my family's mockery, knowing that someday they'd understand just how wrong they were. But this wasn't about revenge. It was about innovation, about seeing the future when others were stuck in the past. The next morning, my father stormed into my office, past Claire's protests, past security. His face was red with a mixture of rage and disbelief. You, he roared. You're behind Novatech? I didn't even look up from my computer. I see Marcus showed you the merger agreement. Merger? This is theft. You're trying to steal our company. Now I did look up. Our company? You mean the company you inherited from grandfather and ran into the ground? The one you never thought I was good enough to run? We gave you every opportunity, Dash. No, I cut him off. You gave me one option, to fall in line, to do things your way. When I chose a different path, you laughed. Called it beneath our family's dignity. He slammed his hands on my desk. Because fixing phones in a tiny shop is beneath us. I stood slowly, my voice deadly calm. That tiny shop generated the seed money for Novatech. While you were clinging to outdated technology and old business models, I was revolutionizing the industry. Every innovation you dismissed, every change you refused to make, I turned those into billion-dollar opportunities. You did this deliberately, he accused. Set us up to fail. You set yourselves up to fail. I just built something better. I pressed a button on my desk and the wall screens came to life, showing Novatech's global operations. This is what success looks like in the modern world, Dad. Not golf club memberships and inherited titles, but innovation, adaptation, growth. Security arrived, my security team, not his, and stood quietly by the door. You have 24 hours to accept the merger offer, I said, sitting back down. After that, I start calling in your debt. All of it. He stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. In a way, he was. The dutiful daughter he thought he knew had never existed. Your grandfather, he said finally, his voice hoarse. He would be ashamed. I smiled, genuinely amused. Actually, he'd be proud. Who do you think funded my first patent application? He saw the future coming, Dad. He knew Bennett Electronics needed to change. You were just too proud to listen. The next day, Marcus returned with the signed merger documents. Dad had refused to sign himself, his final act of defiance, leaving Marcus to handle the details as CEO. Regional Sales Director, he muttered as he handed over the papers. From CEO to sales. Be grateful, I told him. It's more than your performance deserves. Within 6 months, Novatech had completely transformed Bennett Electronics. The outdated manufacturing lines were retrofitted with my automated systems. The bloated management structure was streamlined. The company that had been bleeding money was now generating record profits. Dad refused to take the chairman emeritus position, choosing early retirement instead. He spends his days at his country club, telling anyone who'll listen about how his daughter betrayed the family business. Few people sympathize, they're too busy praising Novatech's innovative leadership. Marcus surprisingly thrived in his new role. Freed from the pressure of running a company he was never qualified to lead, he turned out to be a decent salesman. He still can't quite look me in the eye during board meetings, but his numbers are good. Last week I finally took down the sign at my original repair shop. The building's being converted into the Novatech Innovation Museum, showcasing the evolution of electronics repair and recycling technology. The centerpiece is my first workbench, where I developed the ideas that would revolutionize the industry. Claire put a framed photo on my desk recently, a newspaper clipping from 2 years ago, showing me standing in front of my little shop on opening day. Next to it was Forbes magazine's latest cover, featuring me as one of their 40 under 40 business leaders. You might want to send copies to your family, she suggested with a smile. I shook my head. They've got front row seats to the show already. Success, I've learned, isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Sometimes that means starting small, being underestimated, letting others laugh while you build something revolutionary. And sometimes it means watching from your penthouse office as those same people realize just how wrong they were to laugh. The best revenge? It's not taking over your family's company or making them work for you. It's building something so magnificent that they're forced to admit you saw the future while they were stuck in the past. Marcus still has his Rolex. I have an empire. Guess who's laughing now?